Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 30th of November, the last day of the month, and maybe the last chance for Arne Slot to save his job. Only 3 hours or just over, slightly over 3 hours till kickoff. Feels like a Danny Diamond, doesn't it? Absolutely bricking this. We will see how we feel come 4 o'clock. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from, I'll be honest, I've got the blinds down because the sun is pouring in, but it is absolutely freezing in Edinburgh at the same time. So despite the fact it is sunny, almost, 4 o'clock later on when this is done, could be like a scene from, what's that Peaky Blinders one, in the bleak midwinter type of thing for Arne Slot. We will see what happens, people. So that's the main topic that's dominating the headlines here today, which we'll have a look at. But also there's some other transfer links, different bits. But before we even get into that, just to sort of warm your heart, just to cheer you up a little bit, let's look at something I'm going to use the word pure this morning. If you're watching, you can see it, but just have a listen to this.
Hi, how are you?
Say good morning.
Good. All good? Nice.
Say how are you?
How are you? Good. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Say the oldest.
Young guys, okay? Absolutely precious and one to warm your heart on a Sunday morning. And we need all the warmth we can get at the moment, don't we? Because I don't know even how you're feeling for this game a little bit. Maybe the danger is, I think apathy is starting to creep in if you have a quick scan across the fan base that, yeah, we're all like, we've got to win it, we've got to turn it around, they need to show something, all those things. But is it hope over expectation today? I'm not quite sure, in all honesty. We confident for this one? I think we all know the answer to that. But importantly, there was a few more quotes that came out from Arne Slot yesterday. So let's just have a quick read of those and, a few thoughts again on this. So the first one was about learning from recent defeats. And he said, now is a new experience. I always find it hard to learn from things, but next time there will be different players or clubs involved. I never think, 3 years ago I lost one game and did that meeting and used that tactic, so let me use this again now. That is not how it works. There are so many things that go into it. There is no specific thing I would do differently in a few years because I don't know which team I have to work with. It is clear and obvious that not all the decisions we made were excellent. Dear Christ. Not all the decisions we made were excellent. The thing is, though, about learning from things, I think one of the big things you've got to accuse him of this season is not learning the lessons, of doing the same things time and time again and expecting different results, of picking the same players again and again and expecting different things from them, of setting the team up in the same way and then being surprised when there's problems from set pieces, build up, all the other things, the press. Yeah, there does seem to be some almost Teflon players in this lineup who, no matter what they do, will be in time and time again. So, talk about learning things. Is he? I'm not so sure. And then the other things that not all decisions we made were excellent. Captain Obvious a little bit, but I understand why he's saying that at the same time. It's, again, you can say we can pull these comments apart and it's more about what they do on the pitch. It absolutely is. And what they do today is going to be highly significant for Liverpool's future and for his at the same time as well. The only other bit that's worth really pulling out is he was talking about maybe a player you're surprised about. Obviously, he was asked about this one. Endo. Probably thinking, who's Endo? That's not the name of the Mighty Red mascot. That is the name of Liverpool's defensive midfielder. But he was asked about his game time this season and said, I prefer not to talk about individuals, but since you ask, he is in the position Gravenberch is in. Ryan is not performing the worst from all of our players. That is Ryan's best position and the same as Wata. When I used him as a right back against Bournemouth, I got criticised. I got told I got criticised. Ryan's one of the few who's been fit throughout the whole season. That is the answer. There's a few things to unpick from this straight away, isn't there? But at least he knows who Endo is now. That's a positive. The second thing about that is Ryan is not performing the worst. I mean, some of them are just as bad as each other, but Gravenberch has been abysmal the last few games, and it's such an important position where he is, isn't it, in that six? I don't agree with it's his best position ultimately. I think it's kind of, he was brilliant last season. I'm not interested in anyone saying anything different or hashing months or stuff. He was an important part of our title-winning team. But this season, I think he's been pretty awful. And a little bit, just changing that, going back into last season, you knew you were going to have issues with him, didn't you? We all wanted a DM in the summer. We're all desperate for a DM now. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand the logic at the same time. Those who say, well, at least put Endo in. Is he a worse footballer than Gravenberch? God, yes. But he would kick a few people, battle a bit, which has not really been happening in the last few games. And it still bugs me even now that nothing was made about Gravenberch shitting out of 50-50 tackles against Forest. That still bugs me highly. Still also annoyed me that for PSV's second goal, did you see, he didn't make that bust a gut to get over. Don't just let him travel 30, 40 yards past Mo. But it's clear, whatever we say, it's irrelevant. Is Endo going to start against West Ham? Is he buggery? We know exactly what's going to happen. Is it pointless Endo almost being here? Yeah, a little bit right now. We should just be looking to move him on and get someone in. But we aren't, and we won't. And speaking of getting stuck in, I like that handle. Arna, get to the chopper slot, as put a message on YouTube there. Is Jones going to get the standard getting stuck in after 5 minutes? To be fair, in terms of midfielders, it's probably worth mentioning this right now. Curtis gave it the whole, we should be doing more. I'm beyond explaining it, and said, I think was it dogs, wasn't he? He said, yeah, we need to be like dogs. Who's stopping you? I don't always agree with a lot of Jamie Carragher and what he says, but he said this after the game. Who is stopping you? Who's saying you can't run? Who's saying you can't get stuck in? No one. Even, for all the criticism I've got of Arne Slot right now, he's not saying that. So don't say it, do it. That is what we need to see today. Will we? Not so sure on that, but we don't have too long to find out, in all honesty. In terms of other stories, this is probably the biggest one. Shout out to Johnny Northcroft, because he wrote this for the Times, and probably an interesting strapline there. Why Liverpool are back in Arne Slot, brackets, for now. Amid the worst run in 71 years, and we are breaking all the records at the moment, aren't we, for all the wrong reasons. And it's an interesting article because it talks about Isak, injuries, the performances, also Michael Edwards and how he's detached almost a little bit from it. It's very much Richard Hughes running the show. Again, that's not, please, not being derogatory about Jonathan Northcroft at all. I think he's a brilliant journalist, but do I agree with that? But it's this bit that probably drew a lot of people to it. And it talks about the sale of Luis Diaz. The sale of Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich is projected as a major reason for the slump. But Diaz was eyeing a move 18 months ago, and it took all of Hughes' persuasive powers to convince the Colombian to stay. Receiving 70 million for a 28-year-old who still wanted to leave was seen as good business. And after considering Lyon's Malik Fofana, Liverpool decided not to directly replace him because they wanted to leave space in the squad for the youth prospect, Rio Ungamoa. Another decision for the long term, but doesn't help the short term amid the slump. Now, there's a bit to this. We said on the transfer show for going back a couple of summers that Luis Diaz wanted to leave, wasn't really enjoying the life, the climate in Liverpool. We said that. We also said throughout the summer, Liverpool were looking at wingers. They had a good look, didn't they? At Rodrigo, at Malik Fofana, as was mentioned there. They had a good look at Semenyo, but decided not to go for it. it's looking an appalling decision, isn't it? Because I've got to be honest, Cody Gakpo has been absolutely horrendous this season. And again, another one in the last few games, pulling out of 50-50 challenges, but also he's missed some big, easy chances like that header against United, like one against PSV the other night. You know what Cody Gakpo's going to do. The cut inside, it comes to nothing. That's been the story of his season. So yeah, it's just looking a worse and worse decision by the day, isn't it? And part of that article was around, there's calm around the whole Travail's performances have been better than the results. So that's a line that's in the article. Now, there's a bit of umbrage I've got with that, in all honesty, because we've seen the performances this season. And shout out to Sam Maguire, because he tweeted that this morning. We're only a point off our expected points tally. Not sure the performances have been better than results narrative really holds up. Yeah, absolutely. As it says, it's a fact, isn't it? As according to the stats, the XG table, we're a point off our expected tally. And if you're honest, how many good games have there actually been this season? Everton in the first half, Athletic. I don't know, that's not Premier League, but Atletico. You'd say Frankfurt in the second half. How many? So, yeah, again, it just feels a little bit like a club briefing, shall we say. But it's well written and it's well worth a read if you get the chance. In terms of stuff we like to hear, this one we definitely got yesterday. We talked about it on Daily Red in case you missed it. Liverpool hire shock swoop for Nottingham Forest star Elliot Anderson with any deal likely to smash past 80 million quid. The England midfielder is firmly on the Reds' radar. Do it. Honestly, it's not my money, I know, of course, but if someone told me Elliot Anderson will cost Liverpool about 80 million quid right now, and it'd just be just do it. I think he would absolutely, saying revolutionise, that's too strong, but I think it would just be a bit of a catalyst for the whole side, because all of a sudden you've got a guy in midfield who can win the ball, fight, pass at the same time as well, provide some real protection to that back line as well. Oh, and also progress the ball. And it's interesting because people have got takes. Mr. 365 boy said Ali has had one good season. Anderson had one good season. We were raving about the Palace lad in the summer. But for that, Mr. 365 boy and everyone, then there's a reason Liverpool are looking at these players. Your Adam Whartons, your Elliot Anderson, your Carlos Balebas. Yes, they are all different profiles, but they would all make a huge difference to this Liverpool midfield right now. I don't think anyone has got any doubt about that at all. Doesn't feel likely for January, though, as much as we want to say it, does it? In terms of the other headlines that we're looking at, taking a scan there. So we mentioned about Luis Diaz. I'll nip this one in the bud for you straight away because there's various reports about Ilian Ndiaye, the Everton, so I suppose you call him attacking midfielder, and he is playing very well this season, but he's been linked with us, City, Spurs, I think, are in the mix there as well. No, there's absolutely no chance that A, he's the type of player we need right now, but B, would Everton sell to us? Not in a million years now. I mean, at one point, Jared Branthwaite was being discussed, but obviously with the takeover and everything, you could just delete that off straight away. So I'll save you the time there. I mean, how bad's that? When it rains, it pours. The under-18s got smashed 7-0 at home by United yesterday. So, yeah, it's going great guns at all levels, isn't it? We talked about the Luis Diaz one, but this one just won't go away, as it says. Antoine Semenyo, according to the story, Liverpool are still favourites to sign him. And to be fair, saying front runners, That's what Lewis Steele said, wasn't it? When we had him on Media Matters the other day. And also it's what the iNews and others report. It's just funny that terminology just keeps getting used time and time again. And I'm not going to go too much into Semenyo's profile. You know what he can bring. We've talked about him a lot recently. It's annoying because I can't play it because it's Premier League highlights and it'll shut it down. But just Antoine Semenyo versus Sunderland away. This was a great tweet. Unfortunate to leave with no goal and assist. Even because I watched the game yesterday, just because I wanted to see, obviously, it seems to be a red hot one. He was really good. Again, I don't know how he didn't come away with an assist because his striker, Evan Nielsen, just missed an absolute sitter. But what I liked about Semenyo yesterday, if you watch those highlights, ran, won tackles, worked his nuts off for the team, beat his man a number of times as well and created things. As it says, he should have had a goal. He should have had assist. Everyone will just look at, oh, they lost to Sunderland, haven't been 2-0 up. Semenyo played really well. So if you have a quick search of that on the social media, just worth, I don't know what you call it, 5 minutes of your time or so. But those, realistically, ladies and gents, are the biggest headlines doing the round at the moment. But it comes down to this, doesn't it? It's, it's not actually too far off 2:05. Weird kickoff time anyway. But at 2:05, I mean, how depressing is this to say, in a way? 13th place, Liverpool will take on 17th place, West Ham. So on paper, with the squads and all that, but football, as we know, isn't played on paper. We know how it's been going recently. And unfortunately, West Ham will be absolutely licking their lips at this. Now, in terms of who they've got, Paquette has served his ban, so he is back for them, annoyingly. Yeah, Jared Bowen, he'll be licking his lips at this one. And Souček thinking Liverpool are bad on set pieces. So at West Ham, to be fair, truth be told. But, yeah. I mean, ultimately, as I sit here thinking about this game, it's trying not to be, it sounds dramatic, but it's not really, is it? We're all there. I think if Arne Slot doesn't win, he should go. And that's before the Sunderland game. My worry is at the moment, people keep saying, give him time, but we're seeing the same thing again and again. And also, this is supposed to be the easy run of fixtures. That's what we look forward to. And it feels like we're almost just throwing them away game after game at the moment. So it does feel like it is, so important for Arne Slot's future, but also for ours today. It does feel like if we don't get the result we need, next week will be dramatic. Which then turns us to who's actually going to be in this lineup today. I mean, Alisson Becker is, of course, going to be in nets. We know he's fit and he's back. Virgil will start. I mean, there's a case to take out Kerkez. There really is. And put Robbo in. But I do think Kerkez will start. Right back. I haven't even got any, have we? Because we got the bad news that, even more weeks for Frimpong and Bradley. So I do think it will be Curtis Jones continuing at right back. And that's mainly because we want to boss line the midfield, don't we? And be an important part of that. Which then comes the centre halves. And I know we've heard other stories about Joe Gomez injections in his knees and everything and all that. And Arne Slot was kind of asked about it and didn't quite allude to it, but didn't dismiss it either. I do want Joe Gomez in today. Because if you look at how badly Ibu's been playing recently, again, more mistakes. I don't see almost how you justify having him in the starting lineup. And also, there's been the story in the week, hasn't there, about Real Madrid. Florentino Perez has got a kink for players on a free and still doesn't want him. That says just how low the stock is. probably we also need to find out if Gomez is completely finished. Let's see it, because can he be any worse than Konate's been recently? I just struggle to see how. In terms of the midfield, whatever you think, you know the way it's going. It's going to be Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai. Yeah, it's not a complicated pick. In terms of the forward line, it will be Mo Salah on the right. It will be Cody Gakpo on the left. The only question is the forward line a little bit, isn't it? Because Isak's clearly not fit, nowhere near ready. I mean, Christ, we're in December and saying that. But is Hugo Ekitike recovered from that back twinge, as he said? Now, Arne Slot intimated in his press conference that actually it should be okay. So I'm expecting Hugo Ekitike to start in this one. But if that was a bit too presumptuous, then it will be Isak, won't it? An unfit Alexander Isak, which then worries me because Isak, Gakpo and Salah is the worst pressing front three that we have. Yeah. And people talking about McAllister's form. And I know I can make arguments. I would love if Florian Wirtz was fully fit and started on the left. That would make me happy. But do I think it will? No, I think you can start to almost set your watch to this front line a little bit. We'll see. Predictions. Well, I want to do this, do I? Because my heart is telling me this is the day they're going to actually fight, battle, run around, play some nice football in a big stadium where the fans get on top of West Ham quite quickly. That's what I hope. My head is telling me you've been to the last few games. You were there in the stadium against Forest where it was abject. You were there at PSV where it was even worse. So that's what the head's telling me. So I'm just not even going to make a prediction. What will be come 2:05. And if it is the worst case scenario, it should be the end of Arne Slot. We'll see though, ladies and gents. Hope still burns. Does your expectation at the same time? Don't know. But on Sunday, the 30th of November, maybe from your eyes, behind the couch, Liverpool will play West Ham. And that was a daily red for Anfield Index.